Okay, now before we start doing the campaign, I just really wanted to explain because there's a lot of you who are still confused as to how I set up the campaign. So I've created a little PowerPoint which explains exactly the structure of PPC campaigns that I create. Okay, so let's look at that right now. Okay, so let's briefly talk about what PPC Keyword Tools is. It's not a generic tool like Google's AdWords editor. Google's editor is a generic tool for creating campaigns. And the biggest difference between PPC Keyword Tools and the editor is that the PPC Keyword Tools has got rules built in for it to enable you to create campaigns the correct way and in a specific structure. Now, this structure will give you low CPC, which is low cost per click, and a high quality score. And this is exactly what you're looking for. And if you look at the structure, most of the people that I talk to in the internet marketing world who are doing PPC structure their campaigns the correct way. And this is why I built the tool to basically create the campaigns in this structured manner. So let's take a look at the structure of a typical campaign that's created by PPC Keyword Tools and most people that create high performing campaigns. So here we go. We'll deal with the content network in a second, but this is for a search campaign, search network campaign, and this is what it looks like. So we have the campaign, and under the campaign we have one ad group for each keyword, and under one ad group we have exactly 2 ads. Now the reason why we have 2 ads is because we want to constantly test one against the other, doing split testing and basically keep refining the ads. The ad that is performing better, obviously, you keep, and then you delete the old one, and then you create another ad, and you basically challenge the first ad with the second ad, and you keep doing that until you get a really good quality score and low cost per click. And there's one more thing that you need to note about the keyword is this. So basically what we're doing here is we create a campaign. Each ad group will have one keyword which and one match type. So the keyword has 3 match types. There's broad, there's phrase, and there's exact. So you are going to create one ad group for each of those match types. So in this example here, we have 2 ad groups. For the same keyword, we have 2 ad groups because the first keyword, we've marked it as exact match with these square brackets. And the same keyword, we've also said that we want phrase matching, which has got the quotes around here. So we create a separate ad group for each match type that we specify. So this is exactly the structure that we create. Now, if we go to the next slide, this is for the content network, and basically it's exactly the same, but here for the content network, typically we have each ad group will have between 5 and 20 keywords. So that's the only major difference between creating a campaign for the search network as opposed to the content network. Okay, now let's go back to the tool and we'll get started on creating our campaign. Okay, so we're back in the campaign creator, and the first thing we need to do is give our campaign a name. Let's just call this Yoga 1 because we're going to create a campaign for my yoga teacher who's got a studio here in Brampton. I've been doing yoga for the past 6 years now, and I do recommend that you do yoga. It's a fantastic pastime and it's really good exercise. So anyway, the first thing we need to do is create the campaign name. So I've called it Yoga 1, and this is really important because we'll be using this name when we get to the AdWords editor. Now let's provide a maximum CPC of say 60 cents, and we typically do phrase and exact match. So most of the campaigns I set up, I very rarely do broad match because it's quite expensive from a cost per click point of view. So if you're new to PPC campaigns, I would recommend that you stick to phrase or exact match. And let's give this a maximum bid price of say 20 cents here. and we'll do the same thing here, 20 cents. And the next thing we need to do is we need to import our list of keywords. So I already have a file with this list of keywords, so I'm just going to copy these, and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to click on paste. So here we are. Now there's a whole bunch of options here which are new from our previous version, and I'll go through these options in a second, and these are really for the content network. So I don't want to concentrate on the content network. I want to concentrate on the search network. So let's just keep this option to single keywords. Okay. Now the only thing that we need to do is basically define our ad. So I'm gonna go ahead and basically copy this ad which I've already created, because I don't really want to waste a lot of time, and I'm just going to paste it in here. And this is a new feature, so as you can see here we have a preview of the ad that will show up in Google when somebody searches for that particular keyword. Okay, so let me just finish doing this. That's the display URL, and then we've got the destination URL. So you can either type in the destination, or you can click this little button which will basically take the display URL, fix the HTTP :// at the front, and then you've got your destination URL. So you can do that. Now one thing I need to point out is that if you look at the headline, it's got a very funny looking headline. And this is everything to do with dynamic keyword insertion. So it's a very specific syntax that you need to use. And if you're new to dynamic keyword insertion, take a look at my other video and I explain dynamic keyword insertion in detail. So I'm not going to repeat it here. Just take a look at that video, and it basically goes through all the features of dynamic keyword insertion in detail, and it'll show you step by step how to use that. Okay. So here, I just want to basically mention one thing, that the ad that you're seeing is shown with the dynamic keyword insertion syntax. Now, if you want to see what it looks like when the actual keyword is substituted, all you need to do is basically use this drop list, which will show all the keywords which are already in this list. And if you select one, it's going to replace it and show you exactly what the ad will look like. And these buttons here will basically run through all your keywords in a sequence, so you can basically see what's going on. Now if you've noticed here, we have the number of characters in the headline once the substitution is done is 30, and it's shown in red, which means that it's above the maximum number of characters for the headline, which is 25. So this is just a visual clue for you to know that when Google replaces this at runtime, it's going to actually show your default text, which is Yoga Pilates in Brampton. Okay, so it's not going to show Yoga and Pilates certification because it goes over the 25 character limit. It's going to show you the default text, which is here. Now once again, this is all to do with dynamic keyword insertion, and if you're not too sure, watch my other video and I explain this in detail. Another feature is if you click on the underlined Yoga and Pilates certification, it will actually take you to the website. So it will take you to this website here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create the second ad. So let's click on the second ad. Now here what you can do is, if you want to copy the first ad, all we need to do is basically go to the first ad, click this copy button, go to the second ad and paste, and just click yes. It basically makes a copy of the ad 1. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a second ad which is slightly different, and I have it here already, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to do this again, this stuff. So here's our second ad, and that's basically it. Now once you've done that, all we need to do is we need to click on the generate campaign button. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we get to the generate campaign for export dialog box. So here, the only thing that we need to look at here before I click on the generate campaign button is this checkbox here. If you check this box, it will generate unique ad group names. Okay, and by default it's unchecked because it's not really necessary to do that. But if you want every single ad group to have a unique name, then you can check this box. Okay, we'll leave it unchecked and we'll say create campaign. There you go, it's done. So basically we have 92 keywords, which matches our total here. We created 184 ad groups. Each ad group has 2 ads for a total of 368 ads. So it's generated, we just click close. And now we're going to get to the fun part, which is transferring all this data to the AdWords editor. So the first thing we need to do before we do that is let's go to the AdWords editor. And I fired up my AdWords editor and I'm already in my account. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new campaign. So we click add new campaign and we're going to create a CPC campaign, and we're going to call this Yoga 1. Now this needs to be the same name as what we used when we created our campaign. So we've got Yoga 1 here, so we can actually just copy that and we'll go back to AdWords editor and we can paste it in here. Okay, and now the next thing we need to do is we need to transfer the data for the ad groups and the ads and things like that. So we go back to the editor, sorry, we go back to the campaign creator and we'll click on export to clipboard button. Okay, so what we have here is we have some options which I'll just quickly go through. If you were using DKI, which is dynamic keyword insertion, which we actually did use in our campaign, then we can do one of two things. We can perform the substitution here before we export, or we can let Google do it if you want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to select do not do any DKI substitution, and we're going to let Google AdWords do this on the fly. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to export the ad groups to the clipboard. So we select that and we click on the export now button. Okay, that's done. Let's go back to the editor and we'll click on add groups, and now we're going to click on add update multiple ad groups button. Okay, let me just make this a little bit smaller so you guys can see it. Okay, and what I'm going to do is my ad group information below includes a column for campaign name. So always make sure that this one is checked. Okay, don't have to worry about this box here. All we need to do is make sure that this checkbox is checked, because the information that we're going to export into this dialog box will contain the campaign name. Okay, and in here we'll just right click and we'll select paste. Okay, done. Click next and click next and click finish, sorry. So there you go. So all the ad groups have been created. Now the next step, if we go back to our campaign creator, is to export the keywords to the clipboard. So we'll select that, click on export now, go back to AdWords editor and click on keywords, and once again we'll click on the make multiple changes and add update multiple keywords, and once again just make sure this checkbox is checked. We're doing a CPC campaign. Right click and paste and click next and click finish. Simple. That's step 2 done. And now the last step is for our ads. So click on the export ads to clipboard radio button, export now, go back to the editor, click on ads, once again make multiple changes and select the first option. Now this is probably first time doing it in a long time, that's why it's not being resized. Anyway, once again, make sure this checkbox is checked. We're going for the CPC campaign. This is a search network. Right click and paste, and these are all your campaign. These are all your ads in the campaign. Click next, click finished, and there you go. That is it. We've created a brand new campaign called Yoga 1, and if you look at the keywords, we've got all the keywords, we've got all the ads, and we've got all the ad groups, so we're good to go. Now all you have to do is basically click on this button here which says post changes, and just post all your changes back up Google's AdWords account up in Google. So there you have it. Let's go back to our campaign creator, and what we want to do here is you want to basically make sure that you save this. So it's very simple, just click on file, click on save, and then you can actually save the your project to your desktop. Okay, so once you've done that, you're good to go, and then you can always load it back up next time. Okay, I just briefly want to mention this feature here. Now, a lot of people have been asking me if I can create something which can target the content network. Well, this is exactly what this does. What you can do for the content network, if you remember, you need to have at least 5 to 20 keywords. So you need to be able to group your keywords together, and then when you create the campaign, you want to make sure that those keywords are grouped and the ad groups are created with those keywords grouped inside. So it's very simple. All you need to do is basically click this feature here, which is called grouped keywords, and you have two options. One is that you can basically divide this keyword list up into chunks of keywords. So for example, I can say that just basically create each ad group with say 10 keywords. Okay, and let's click the generate button and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, now if you go to modify campaign, you'll see that we have a whole bunch of a whole bunch of ad groups here, and each ad group now has exactly it has 10 keywords. Now the last one may not have 10 because it depends on your list of keywords, right? But each ad group has 10 keywords, and you can basically add some more here. You can modify them, and then you can click save. So you can do that, and this is really for people who are quite advanced. So it's an advanced feature. If you don't really understand it, don't worry, you won't be really using this. This is just to show you that each ad group has got 10 keywords in there for the content network. Okay, now let's go back to the first tab, and usually what people want to do is they want to control which keyword goes into which group. So that's why I have this delimiter feature. So what you can do is you can specify a delimiter, but let's just leave it at the tilde. And what you can do is you can basically come down here and you can separate the keywords by this delimiter. And what will happen is it's going to create these into groups of keywords. Okay, so I've added around 4, I think. Now if I click generate again, let's see what happens. So the first one has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keywords, and the second is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so remember the first group has 6, the next group has 7. Let's click generate campaign, generate, and close. And if we go to the modify keywords campaigns tab, you'll see that the first one has indeed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, has got 7 correct. Yes, so here we go. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so group 1, you have 2 ad groups with the same keywords but the first ad group will have phrase match. The second ad group will have exact match and with the same keywords. Group 2 will have 7 keywords. The first group will be phrase match and the second group will be exact match, and so on and so forth. So this is a way for you to create targeted campaigns, and typically you probably wouldn't do this for a content network. You probably just go for phrase, but this is just to illustrate that yeah, you can basically mix and match and create content network campaigns where you've got broad, phrase, or exact match. It's up to you.